Good day everyone. Today I'll be presenting to you the chapter 14 which entitled the insurance law. So in this module we have the learning objectives, enumerate items that can be insured by a tourism establishment, identify the rationale behind the concept of insurance, explain the different kinds of insurance, identify the advantages and disadvantages of having insurance. So for the topic outline, first is the definition and concept, insurable interest, beneficiaries, fine, marine and third-party liability insurance, fire insurance, compulsory motor vehicle liability insurance, war risk insurance. So, insurance is essential for tourism-related businesses due to the significant risk and substantial investments involved. Employers can provide group insurance for employees as part of their benefits program. Companies operating hotels, restaurants, and other establishments may invest in property insurance to protect against fire or earthquakes. Businesses engaged in cargo transportation may consider marine insurance. So, insurance contracts in the Philippines are primarily governed by the insurance code. If the insurance code lacks specific provisions, the Civil Code of the Philippines applies. So, Section 2, a contract of insurance is an agreement whereby one undertakes for consideration to indemnify another against loss, damage, or liability arising from an unknown or contingent event. So, the essential elements of an insurance contract are insurable interest, existing of risk, assumption of such risk by the insurer, said assumption being part of a general scheme to distribute actual losses among those bearing similar risk, payment of premium. So, also we have here the characteristics of an insurance contract are aleatory, contract of indemnity, onerous, bilateral, and formal. The parties in an insurance contract are the insurer, the insured, and the beneficiary. So, insurable interest. So, Section 10, every person has an insurable interest in the life and health of any person on whom he depends wholly or in part for education or support, or in whom he has pecuniary interest, of any person under a legal obligation to him for the payment of money or respecting property or services of which death or illness might delay or prevent the performance. Section 13. Every interest in property, whether real or personal, or any relation thereto or liability in respect thereof such nature that a completed peril might directly damnify the insured is an insurable interest. For the Section 14, an insurable interest in the property may consist in an existing interest, inchoate interest funding an interesting interest, and expectancy coupled with an existing interest that out of which the expectancy arises. For the Section 15, a carrier or depository of any kind has an insurable interest in a thing held by him as such, to the extent of his liability but not to exceed the value thereof. So, insurable interest refers to a financial relationship with a person or property that justifies obtaining insurance. A person has an insurable interest if they benefit from its preservation or suffer a financial loss if it is damaged or destroyed. In property insurance, insurable interest must be present both at the time of the contract and when the risk occurs. So, in life and health insurance, it is required only at the start of the policy and does not need to exist at the time of the loss. So, for our beneficiaries, so Section 18, the no contract or policy of insurance on property shall be enforceable except for the benefit of some person having an insurable interest in the property insured. Section 19 stated that an interest in property insured must exist when the insurance takes effect and when the loss occurs. but need not exist in the meantime. An interest in the life or health of a person insured must exist when the insurance takes effect, but need not exist thereafter or when the loss occurs. So, a person can only insure another's life if they have an insurable interest, meaning they have a vested interest in preserving that life as required by the Section 10 of the Insurance Code. Employers may insure their employees' lives and health under this rule. In property insurance, the beneficiary must have an insurable interest in the insured property. Thus, interest must exist both when the policy takes effect and when the loss occurs. However, for life and health insurance, insurable interest is only required at the start of the policy and does not need exist at the time of the loss. Also, we have here the fire, marine, and third-party liability insurance. So, Section 99, marine insurance include insurance against loss or damage, cover vessels, vehicles, aircraft, goods, cargo, money, valuable papers, other property during navigation, transit, storage, shipment, preparation, or delays, includes war risk and marine boulder risk. Covers the persons or property related to marine or transportation insurance, excluding life insurance, surety bonds, and other auto-related bodily injury claims. Covers precious stones, jewelry, and precious metal whether in transit or not. Cover transportation and communication infrastructures such as bridges, tunnels, piers, docks, dry docks, marine railways, and dam, excluding buildings and stored supplies. For the marine protection and indemnity insurance, it provides a coverage for legal liabilities arising from the ownership, operation, maintenance, or constructions of vessels and other waterborne instruments. This includes liabilities for personal injury, illness, death, or damage to another's property. Perils of the sea or perils of navigation refers to losses caused by unusual or extraordinary forces like severe wind, waves, or other exceptional maritime events. Losses from the natural action of the sea, normal wear and tear, or the ship power negligence in maintaining proper equipment are considered perils of the ship and are not covered by marine insurance. Also, we have fire insurance law, Section 167. As used in this code, the term fire insurance shall include insurance against loss by fire, lightning, windstorm, tornado, or earthquake, and other allied risks. With such risks are covered by extension of fire insurance policies or under separate policies. So, fire insurance is a contract of indemnity that covers losses caused by the hostile fires, not friendly fires. It's an open policy that insurer must prove the actual loss sustained when a value policy, the stated valuation in the policy is final and binding. Next is the compulsory motor vehicle liability insurance. So, Section 373 for purposes of this chapter, motor vehicle, any vehicle as defined in Section 3, paragraph of Republic Act number 4136, also known as the Land Transportation and Traffic Code. Passenger, any fare-paying person transported in a motor vehicle for passenger transportation, including those lawfully authorized to ride without fare by the vehicle operator or their agents. For the third party, any persons other than a passenger, excluding household or family members within the second degree of consanguinity or affinity in the motor vehicle owner or land transportation operator, as well as their employees in cases of death or bodily injury arising from employment. Land transportation operator, the owner or owners of vehicle used for passenger transportation for compensation, including school buses. Insurance policy, a contract of insurance against passenger and third-party liability for death and bodily injuries arising from motor vehicle accidents. Section 374, it is unlawful for any land transportation operator to operate on public highways without a valid insurance policy. Cash guarantee or surety bond issued under this chapter to indemnify for death, bodily injury, and or property damage of a third party or passenger. So Section 377, every land transportation operator or motor vehicle owner must, before applying for registration or renewal, either secure insurance policy or surety bond from an authorized insurance company or make a cash deposit as required for liability coverage under Section 374. So, also we have here the war risk insurance. So, war risk insurance covers damage caused by acts of war, including hijacking and related perils. However, insurers have excluded liability coverage for weapons of mass destructions, which include radioactive, electromagnetic pulse devices, chemical and biological weapons. Coverage remains at full policy limits for passenger liability, but is capped at $50 million for third-party injury and property damage. So, some countries like the United States provide war risk insurance coverage while others do not. So, the Internal Air Transportation Association argues that airlines in countries without coverage face a competitive disadvantage. Under the Federal Aviation Administration program, insurance coverage for passenger and third-party liabilities costs approximately $0.70 per passenger for U.S. airlines compared to almost $3 per passenger outside the U.S. So, IATA policy. So, in most jurisdictions, including the European Union, airlines are required by law to have liability insurance, including coverage for WMDs. Aircraft lease agreements also require coverage of war risk insurance. Since the use of WMDs is directed against states, the ultimate responsibility for security of citizens rests with states. That's all for the chapter 14. Again, I am Mariel Saren. Good afternoon and thank you.